Joining me this morning, I'm Pastor Chuck Blair of New Church Live, and this is our 10 minutes of morning calm. What I wanted to share with you today is one of the core questions I think that any faith has to answer, any different faith system. There are many different answers to this question, which is humanity as a human being inherently good or inherently evil? From a Christian New Church perspective, we believe that it's actually a both and, that there is a part of us that's just not good, and there's a part of us that's very good. And just think of when you're at your best and when you're at your worst. Think about your compulsions and addictions versus your best intentions. That might be one way to hold it in a very practical way. And that idea of this mix, I think, is incredibly powerful and very, very beautiful. And here's a piece. I just want to share with you a little bit of language when I was getting ready for this morning. There's one part in here where Emanuel Swedenborg asks us to consider this as part of the Christian message. He says, mutual love, however, which is the only heavenly love, considers not merely saying, but admitting and believing that we ourselves are extremely unworthy. So there's that part, all right? So here I am as a person, and I realize there's part of me that's just filled with just garbage, and there's not much there, and that's called the corporeal self. The word corpse is part of that, the proprium, the ego, the false self. I mean, any number of words you could use there that have been used across different denominations. There's some great language out there around that. And then goes on to say our inner self is simply mutual love. So it's saying into this both and. We have to get really clear that there's a part of us that totally is corrupt. That's the old will. And there's this part of us that's the new will. And there's a little seed for that God gives to everyone. And that is simply mutual love. And that's a very positive part of the message. And that's why, for me, the whole statement, love wins, is so incredibly important. Today, though, I want to look at the beauty of being rigorously honest with ourselves, the beauty of being honest with ourselves and being honest about that part of us that just doesn't work, that part of us that is just, it's the shadow side, it's the dark side, it's the side when we say, I'm not myself, I'm so sorry. That's the side we're going to talk about today, because that's an important part of spiritual growth, is to be clear about that. I know within the 12-step tradition, the idea of rigorous honesty is so incredibly important. And I know for me as a pastor and for me as a person, both, and until there's rigorous honesty, there's very, very little growth. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to create change, but if it's not change based on a real honest appraisal of where we are at any particular moment, it tends not to go very far. And with that rigorous honesty, one of the pieces of a Christian New Church perspective that's interesting is God uses that. Like, it's not that it's just junk. It's used, and in overcoming that, we actually come to a much more loving place. Because what happens is that false self, it's all filled with all kinds of puffery that we can really figure it out, that we've got the corner of the market, that we're the only ones who truly understand, that our view is the best one out there. And that is especially dangerous. This is a little aside, especially dangerous when we slather a religious patina on that, and we believe that God has somehow given us the one insight into the world, and specifically how other people should act. And it's interesting when people do that, they always put themselves on the side of the ledger and other people on the other side of the ledger. So be it. And I'm sure we all do that on occasion. But it's really important, folks, to understand that God's not there to beat us up over those parts. He's there to free us from those parts. And in God's economy, those parts are used. They create a level of freedom. We can always choose. And then as we evolve and we grow spiritually, we get to make better and better choices over time. As we make those better choices, we come back to that inner self, which is mutual love, which we'll be talking more about tomorrow. I was thinking about, one tool just to share with people for today, and this is a really significant one, again, out of the 12-step tradition, which is when somebody says, oh man, you're just being so selfish. Instead of defensively saying, no, I'm not, just take a second and see if you can find in your heart a place in there where they might actually be right, where you might actually being selfish, self-centered, concerned about just what you want, not what anyone else wants. And I think from there, and this is the trick, can you say this without attitude And can you just say it without like, well, this is a gotcha and you'll never be able to respond to that. But can legitimately, calmly, honestly say, you might be right. You might be right. I mean, just imagine an argument with someone where you just know. I mean, I imagine a lot of us have had these arguments where we just know we were off, but we're just in that defensive point of view. We're just trying to erect walls. We don't want to admit to any kind of wrongdoing. Um, and just imagine we had a different approach to that. And instead we were really able to go like, oh yeah, yeah, you might be right. It might be being selfish. And just stop right there. I mean, that's the kind of rigorous honesty, folks, that really can be very disarming in terms of a de-escalating of an argument, and it also gets us pointed back to what we can control, which is ourselves. And if you don't think that has impact, I mean, just imagine somebody who you are having a brouhaha with, and just imagine them saying today, like, I've been thinking about it, and actually, yeah, I am being a bit selfish. I need to rethink that. I mean, that would be very disarming for you to hear that from someone you loved. And why shouldn't it work the opposite way as well? So that's the thought for today, folks, is that, we can find a lot of beauty of being honest with ourselves, especially rigorously honest, because that's how we can really start to change. And it's not changed on like you are nothing. It's just changed in that there's a part of you that's nothing. There's a part of you that's a complete false self, shadow self, ego driven. There's a part of you there. And there's also this deeper part that is the more true you, which is mutual love, and that you can actually use overcoming the false self as a means to finding the true self. And that's a beautiful part of God's economy. More on that tomorrow. Hope that makes sense, friends. And I'm wishing you all the very best on the rest of your day. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to offer a little prayer, a little meditation, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on social media. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and listen to the prayer bell here. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's say a little cheery hello to people who might be joining us online this fine and beautiful morning. All righty, there we go. Say a little cheery hello here. Hopefully, so I'm just going to try to. Sorry about this, folks, but oftentimes the Wi-Fi in this building is a little bit on the quirky side. So let's see if it can. There we go. All right, a couple of comments here. All right, Kim, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. And Carm, my dear buddy, great to have you joining us this morning. as well. And it was great to see you last week, my friend. All right, now let's flip on over to here and say a cheery hello over here on this page. My goodness, this is also slow today. All right. Okay. More different comments over here. Linda, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. Patricia, great to have you joining us. Same big shout out to you out there, Martha. I hope you're doing very well. Jean, good morning to you, my friend. And Marcus, always great to see you joining us as well. So, friends, I wish you all the very best and we'll talk to you tomorrow. A little note about sponsorship here at New Church Live. Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of New Church Live today. Take care, my friends.